Now that the Super Bowl is over and Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T have aired their Super Bowl ads, who do you guys think had the better outcome? And, who was the big winner? So just to get that right, just to get this off my chest right away, AT&T was way too quiet. I think they had one ad during the game. It was a fiber ad, if I remember correctly, and that was it. They had nothing on wireless. We saw no speed tests, at least me. I didn't see any speed tests from the stadium. They had no social media team at the game from AT&T. There was nothing on their social medias about the event other than them just talking about it. There was nobody there. There was no videos being filmed, nothing. Also, their public article that they released about the game, they didn't give us any specifics. There was no dollar amount this year. There were no, this is how many small cells we deployed, nothing. So I think AT&T was probably the weakest link at the Super Bowl, which is crazy because you don't get a bigger stage than the Super Bowl to show off your network. And I'm positive that AT&T had millimeter wave at the stadium, but they didn't showcase any of it. So I think T-Mobile and Verizon equally had a solid performance. It does look like T-Mobile spent more on the Super Bowl versus Verizon. I think the Jim Carrey ad that Verizon had, the cable guy, I think that one resonated well. I think that was a big ad. And from a efficiency standpoint, I think that was enough for Verizon. I think they aired like one or two others, some of the same ones that we've already seen. But the Jim Carrey one set it off, I think, for them, and I think that was a big one. I think that was the best ad of the night from wireless carriers, personally. And I think that's going to do big numbers for Verizon. Now, T-Mobile, they went a bit bigger. They probably did spend more. Those were all brand new ads that they aired during the game, 3 of them. And if you guys are familiar, you want to advertise during the Super Bowl, that's pretty expensive. I think, personally, just a rough estimate, I think T-Mobile spent like $20 million on this. So they spent some pretty big money to advertise during the game. And then, of course, the ads I'm sure they'll run. You'll probably see them on YouTube ads and everywhere else for the next several weeks or months. So from what I'm told, not so much insight from Verizon, but what I was told from T-Mobile, shortly after that home internet ad went live, there were already about 700 people in the call queue and in the chat queue calling in about home internet. And reps immediately got overtime approved to handle those customers. And that just kept increasing throughout the game and then after the game. I think at one point I was told it was like at peak 2,000-3,000 calls in the queue and chat. And I think that was really based on the T-Mobile putting in the ad that you can save up to 50%. They weren't very specific as to what number they were pulling that 50% from. Is that from your bill or is that the national average? And from what I was told, it's the national average. So T-Mobile is stating that the national average home internet bill is $100. Theirs is $50, which is, of course, save up to 50%. Now, if your bill is $60, $70, then of course you're not going to save 50%. You're going to save like $10. So I think T-Mobile should have clarified that a bit better. But again, with all marketing, it is save up to 50%. So I guess if you save 5-10%, that's still savings. But I think a lot of people got really hooked on that 50% number that they saw on that laptop during the ad. And they started calling in and asking questions. I'm sure T-Mobile will sell some of them. They'll convert some of them. Some of them will likely have an $80, $90 to $100 bill, and they'll get them, but they won't get everybody in the queue because there's some that are going to be paying 50, that are going to be paying $60. They're not going to go through the hassle of switching for the same price or $10 more, or saving $10. Some will, but some just won't care for that amount. And then Verizon, Verizon's looking at the bigger picture. They didn't really advertise any pricing during that ad. They could have. They could have very well. They could have said starting at $25 if you bundle with wireless, or if you have wireless. They could have easily advertised that. They didn't. So I'm sure their call queue and their chat queue were a little bit less than T-Mobile's. T-Mobile's went through the roof after the game, from what I was being told. So again, great showing by T-Mobile and Verizon. I think they did it big on the biggest stage for marketing and advertising. Like I said, AT&T, who knows? Maybe they'll show up next year in Glendale for the Super Bowl. But this year, they were a no-call, no-show. I didn't see a single speed test. We'll have to wait for the reports if there are any. Last year was GWS, I believe, and I don't know if Ookla will this year. Ookla is now owns Root Metrics, so we'll see. But again, good showing by T-Mobile and Verizon. AT&T, not so much, right? Verizon was very active. They were active on social media, showing you speed testing. This is what our network can do. They had Hans in there at the game. Big, like I said, big ads, just all around, everywhere. It was Verizon, Verizon, Verizon. I mean, they are the sponsor of the NFL, but they went big. They showed you everything. They showed you speed tests at the stadium, around the stadium, everywhere else. T-Mobile, we got speed tests. I mean, 1.5, 1.6 gigs at the game. To almost 200 tailgating. So, again, maybe this is a lesson learned from AT&T. This is the biggest stage to market on, and I think I have an understanding as to why they did it, because they're holding back a bit because they are usually the big sponsor for the March Madness, which is coming up, and they spend a lot of money there, actually bigger money. So that may be more effective to them than the Super Bowl, depending. That's just my thought on that one. So make sure you guys like, share, subscribe to the channel. Thanks again for watching. This is Tyrone, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.